I think really what we saw from the rotation was a one-hit wonder in that sense. And if they want to prove me wrong, prove you wrong, I'm all for it. Right now, it looks like they definitely need more reinforcements in that rotation.
What did you think of the Yankees opening day performance and the win over the Brewers?
Yeah, happy opening day. Say that the day after teams are still starting up. The Yankees looked good. I think I liked how Aaron Boone put it. He said they have a lot of questions, but they think they have answers too. And we saw a glimpse of that. I know in spring training we don't like to put a lot of weight on what those guys are doing, but Austin Wells and Volpe really did look good in spring, and that carried over yesterday right off the bat. Leadoff home run for Wells. He does have some star quality to him. That's that intangible quality that I think will put him over the top in this lineup. And we can hopefully see him grow this year and he can avoid sort of that sophomore slump. I would love to see a huge year from Volpe. This is his third year in the big leagues. I wouldn't say he's been a disappointment exactly in the Bronx, but he has fallen short of expectations since the Yankees promoted him to be their franchise shortstop, sort of that big player after Jeter left, retired from the organization. So I think this is going to be a huge year for them. And we liked what we saw yesterday from the Yankees. They can keep that going. Then, of course, Soto exiting the Bronx is an easier pill to swallow if they can keep that up with some of the contributions from young guys.
You talk about it still. You wrote an article about Aaron Judge. It still depends. If the Yankees go, pretty much it's for Aaron Judge goes. And he had a nice double at the end of the game there, struggled a little bit in the beginning. But again, you saw he kick-started that inning, got him going again. Talk a little about that article and what you really mean by that.
Yeah, I think I've seen it since covering Judge, really. It's been what can he do for this team? They're adding around him. There's been supporting cast. Of course, last year was the best example with Soto. But even when Judge had that slow start last year, Soto was still being Soto. He was producing. But that Yankees team, that lineup really looks to Judge as sort of their big star of if he's not doing anything, how far are we actually going to go? And no matter what year it is, no matter who's on the roster in the lineup, this sort of theme has carried through since Judge has been up in the big leagues. And the second part of this is that it's a little unfair of us, right, to keep asking Judge to keep putting up MVP seasons. But the basis of that is that he just keeps doing it. And it reminds me of the 22 season of when he broke that big home run record. He got 62 home runs. And really, the industry at large was sort of, this is it, right? Judge's had his career year. There's no way he can top that. And then he just continues to do so. Last year was actually an even better year than that 2022 season. So I think the entire Yankees lineup is built right now around Judge having not just a good year, not just an all-star year, but a big monster MVP year to kind of offset some of those other question marks that will arise no matter what from the young guys. So we saw it yesterday, like you just alluded, Todd. Judge got that big double off a little help from the third base bag, and you could hear the sigh of relief from the stadium, not just the dugout. Of course, his teammates were happy for him. Get the monkey off your back, the first hit of the season, but even the entire stadium, the crowd sort of exhaled. It was like, okay, good. We can put that drop ball from Judge in the World Series behind us and just start anew here. And I think as long as Judge is at his prime, this is sort of going to be the bar for him. The expectation is to just put up how many MVP seasons can he really collect before hanging those cleats up.
Can Austin Wells, who will not play 162 games, he's going to, most likely play 120 to 135 games as the leadoff hitter, can that be sustainable? Not in the sense that Austin Wells can't handle it, but in those 40 games where he doesn't start, how are they going to be able to you don't just fill in for somebody that hits in front of Judge.
Yeah, I think that's where the Yankees have always had good options at leadoff. I think generally reporters were sort of surprised when they named Wells as leadoff because that was not one of the candidates. A typical guy you'd think would be Jazz Chisholm could really be a good table setter for that lineup. Even Volpe a year ago, 2 years ago, he looked like he could be that kind of guy. So I think a lot of the Yankees lineup construction ever since the past few years, since Boone has really been the manager, has just relied on balance. He loves the righty-lefty balance. But more than that, he leaves really a lot of open spots for guys to just compete and take what they can. I think when Wells isn't going to be the starting catcher, there's opportunity for guys to play the hot hand and go from there. I think really throughout the regular season, the Yankees do have the luxury of flipping around their lineup. They're not a team that has to rely on guys playing the same exact role every day. Their goal is really just get to the playoffs, right? And then from there, they can set more of some consistency. I think the first few months, maybe even until the All-Star break, it's just going to be finding out who is going to settle in their roles and who is going to flourish there. And right now we saw Wells take it, but that won't necessarily mean that he'll be that guy for the rest of the season.
Can we talk about Devin Williams a little bit? He's obviously a great piece to this bullpen. Yesterday, there was a little bit of struggle, and there was speculation that possibly tipping pitches. Have you heard anything of that nature? And how good is he going to be in the long run for this team?
No, I know that there was that video, I think, in the playoffs of Devin Williams sort of tipping his pitches to us from that camera looking at it from second base. I think I really enjoyed the Mets' perspective on this. Of course, Pete Alonso, that huge home run he had off Devin Williams, is that from their angle, they did not see at all any tipping pitches. It was really just them looking at this window in front of Devin Williams, focusing on that slot and just trying to swing when they know that that ball's coming in their window. Regardless of what happened last year, I think going into this season, what we saw yesterday from Devin Williams is his former team having a really, really good read on him, right? So I think yesterday was really good to kind of get that behind him, get settled in. But closers are finicky, and I don't expect him to just have a really smooth ride for the rest of the season in a new division, adjusting to a new team. And I like how the Yankees handled his escape artist yesterday. They actually ended up giving him, the Yankees are, a few teams do this, but they give a belt to the winning player of the game. And they actually gave it to Devin Williams. And I asked around of why, and they were really impressed that he was just able to get out of that ninth inning after loading the bases with nobody out against his former team. He really had to bear down there to get out of it. And that showed a lot of grit. So I think the more of those appearances pile up, we'll see more of the Devin Williams that will settle into that closer role. And guess what? If he doesn't, they have a Luke Weaver waiting right behind him who's more than ready to kind of do again what he did last year. So no, I have not heard about tipping pitches. I think from us, from that camera angle, it is easy to think that. But from what I've heard from batters, they don't see that from him.
More in a minute, but first, a quick word from our sponsor of this video.
If you're looking for premium clothes at an affordable price, you got to check out True Classic. AJ, you're rocking the True Classic shirt right now.
Oh, believe it. Look at this thing. Look at it. Soft. It fits perfect, even with these guns. Not too tight like Scott likes it. Little bit of room to move in there, right? Look, you can wear it under a suit. You can wear it out to dinner with some nice jeans. You can wear it to the gym if that's what your game is. Whatever it takes, this thing fits great, feels great. Great shirt.
The long sleeve Henny for these cold, kind of warm spring days. Perfect.
Yep. Build the perfect outfit in 5 minutes or less. Everything goes great together. Free shipping on all orders. It's designed to bring out your best features with a perfect fit. So, FT fam, whether you're bundling up for the cold or getting ready for spring, level up your style with clothes that actually fit right. Go to our exclusive link, trueclassic.com/foul to save. That's trueclassic.com/FOUL. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today. FT fam, get after it.
And now back to the video.
Let's go to the other side of the city. What storyline should we hit on first with the Mets? The fact that Juan Soto did all Juan Soto could do, and Pete Alonso, he's 1 for 2, so he did everything. And Clay Holmes, what should we on Mets up should we most be pissed off about as Mets fans, or the greatest highlight of a 3-1 loss?
Yeah, I think really it's hard to be more pissed off about the Mets, anything other than their big question mark leading into the season, which is starting pitching. And they really did nothing yesterday to convince me that they shouldn't be concerned about that. And it's going to be kind of a mess for them, I think, to just get to June, because they're relying on reinforcements from Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, that are not going to happen for at least maybe a month, a few more weeks. But even when those guys return, how successful are they going to be right off the bat of injury? So I think throwing Tyler McGill out there, David Peterson, Griffin Canning, the Kodai Senga, who we really have no idea, the Carlos Mendoza, the manager, seems to have no idea what to expect from Senga. So that is just a little too many question marks in that rotation for this great team that they've built. They have a great offense. This is their best opening day lineup yesterday that they've ever had in franchise history. So I think they really, really still should have done more to supplement that starting pitching. Until then, they just have to hope that the offense can overpower any shortcomings from that rotation. And in that regard, there really wasn't a lot to be pissed off about the lineup. I mean, Soto did almost everything right. And I think in that last at bat against Hader, he showed that he was human. And it was very un-Soto-like to swing at that slider from Hader. I think it really just showed me that he really wanted to have a huge, huge, huge moment in his first game as a Met, his big career, 15 more years in Queens. I think that got to him a little more than the good discipline, the plate approach we saw from Soto the entire game, frankly. So I think fans still continue to be pissed off about the starting pitching. I think more noise about that issue is not going to hurt.
I understand David Stern saying that he doesn't want to commit massive long-term dollars to starters. I understand it. I don't necessarily agree to it, but I understand it. And I was proven wrong last year when that rotation was awesome. And many of those guys either had breakout or bounce back performances. But when you look at last year's rotation, Disha, and you look at this year's rotation, there are a lot of similarities in that you look on paper and you go, I could see one of those guys breaking out. Just last year felt a little bit outlier to me. And I don't want to go too far because it's only one game, but do you feel like they're banking too much on breakouts and the pitching machine that they have, as in the pitching lab and Jeremy Hefner and some of the other people behind the scenes that are able to help some guys now resurrect careers, plus a little bit more of a pitcher's park than some others? Do you feel like they're adding all of that up, plus Stearns taking a page out of what he did in Milwaukee with usually a rotation that found guys at the back end that would come out of the blue? Do you feel like all of that is adding up and could lead to a disaster for them if you do have the situation like we have when we started out here with Manaea down, Montas down, Holmes obviously transitioning for the first time to a starter and probably going to have issues in the second half of the season? That's usually what happens when guys suddenly transition to a role like this. Reynaldo Lopez was really good for almost the entire year, but he did start to tire late.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on all of the thoughts I think that have to surround this starting pitching. Is that it's twofold, right? The formula worked for them last year. So David Stearns can kind of listen to us and laugh and just point to the track record that he's had with the Brewers end up to last year and say that it'll work out. And on the other end of it, I do think that starting pitching has to be strong for this team that they've built. If this was just a reset year like it was last year for the Mets, as it was advertised, where they got off to that really, really horrendous start up until May and into June almost, then you can kind of take the starting pitching for what it was, hope for the best. That's not what this year is. There's just too much riding on it, even Soto aside. This is a season of Pete Alonso that they are for sure getting and paying $30 million for. So I think just with all, and of course, Francisco Lindor in his prime, Brandon Nimmo, these are windows that are currently open that the Mets have to capitalize on. So in that sense, I think the larger picture, they had to have a better starting rotation. At the same time, that being said, right, we can see in these next month, at least for the first month, to see how it goes, see what they have in the inventory, see how well David Peterson in particular is pitching. He pitched really well in spring, so he could potentially carry that rotation for now. And then, of course, right, look at the trade deadline and see what moves they can make there, assess the situation. So this is David Stearns' MO. Like you said, I really didn't expect him to draw a huge departure from the way he's always operated things. And I think David Stearns feels more confident in the way that he has gone about it, knowing that he has Steve Cohen and his big wallet in case anything happens and they need to do anything, a bigger signing next offseason. Of course, at this point, it's too late for that. So I think they have a few balls in the air that prove that they worked last year. Personally, I'm with you, Scott, in that I think last year was lightning in a bottle. I view it the same way as Jose Iglesias' year. I'm with the Mets that they did not re-sign Mr. Oh My God back into Queens. I think that was just perfect the way that it happened last year, and some things have to kind of stay that way. And that's how I view even a guy like Sean Manaea, who they're kind of depending on to be an ace if Senga doesn't come through. His projections are all 4+ ERA this year. Of course, you can always beat projections and prove those wrong, but I think really what we saw from the rotation was a one-hit wonder in that sense. And if they want to prove me wrong, prove you wrong, I'm all for it. And we can laugh again and our own analyses and really even double down on David Stearns and his formula. But right now it looks like they definitely need more reinforcements in that rotation.
I'm with you. All right, so let's our guys were freaking out trying to figure out who is behind you on the wall. Is it you had the best guess?
I said Bryce Harper, but then
I thought you said Rafael Nadal.
I did. It looked like Bryce in the top right there, but then I'm going with Rafael Nadal.
Yep, you had it. It's Rafa. He's my all-time favorite.
There you
Yep.
But doesn't it look like Harper with the headband on in the back real quick?
It's got a similar vibe, right?
Yeah. It's got a similar.
Rafa's
But Rafa's
the goat. He's the GOAT.
Yeah, there you go. Love it. Well, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the first weekend of games, and we'll catch you again soon, okay?
Of course. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.